Okay.
Welcome, Wargamers. Today we are continuing our Start Collecting Box reviews, and today we're taking a look at the Stormcast Eternal box. The Stormcast Eternal Start Collecting box comes with 1 Lord Celestant, 2 Retributors, 1 unit of 5 Liberators, and 1 unit of 3 Prosecutors. Now, if you've been over to the 2+ Stuff blog where I have the big, I have a large web page about the Start Collecting Box reviews where I kind of just give a little blurb about what comes in each one and kind of my overall thoughts. I actually state in that page that this is actually my least favorite of the Start Collecting boxes, and there's a reason why I've been holding out for doing it so late. I don't like Start Collecting boxes that give you incomplete units. For example, 2 Retributors is not a unit, it takes 5. No matter how you equip them or anything like that, it takes 5 to make a fully pointed unit under the General's Handbook for matched play. Now, of course, you're not always using matched play, but that's not the point. The point is it's not a full war scroll even by its own definition. So some things that are going to be important as we go forward in this review, kind of like overarching things to keep in the back of your head, is that you do get an incomplete unit in there. The box, it depends on how you point it out, because that's the kind of the thing. If you're doing points for match play, you get 300 points of kind of non-negotiables, meaning like, you know how much the unit of Liberators cost, the Prosecutors, the Lord Celestant. If you include the Retributors, because you have to pay for the full unit, even if you only take the 2 guys, the total comes out to 520 points. However, if you drop the 2 Retributors and just use everything that you have full units for, it's only 300. Now keep in mind, I do believe that these are Start Collecting boxes, not Start Playing and Match Play Army boxes, right? So if you're into Stormcast Eternals, there are some really good merits to this box, and I think that they have done a great job of giving you an introduction material to the army. Another thing that kind of solidifies that, in my opinion, is how well this box pairs with the 2-player Start Collecting box. If you bought the 2-player Start Collecting, the 2-player starter set, with the Bloodbound and the Stormcast Eternals, this is kind of the perfect way to enhance that. You get another hero option if you don't want to use Vandus Hammerhand. You get another set of Prosecutors, which you can equip differently. You get more Liberators, which are kind of your baseline units, so they're always good to have. And you get to, and this is important because the start box for 2 players comes with 3 Retributors. This one comes with 2, so you actually complete that unit. So you actually buff up the forces you have a few new options, and you have a completed unit between the 2 of them. One last important thing as we go over kind of the overall opinion of the box is that these do come with multi-part kits. A lot of people were worried when they saw that they would just like take sprues from the starter, the 2-player box, throw it in here and repackage it. But you do actually get the options to build the Prosecutors with the Javelins or with the double hammers. The Javelin guys are a little bit cheaper. I think that might change with the next General's Handbook, but we'll see. And of course, the Liberators can be equipped in a few different ways. They're all kind of the same, however you equip them. Mathematically, they're not wide variances in how effective they are. But it does give you some cool visual things. If you want something that's a little bit different than the 2-player starter that you bought before, you can kind of mix things up. So we're going to start things off with a look at the Liberators. I always like to do a starting with the kind of basic unit that comes in a box, because that's kind of where a lot of the buffs and mechanics are built off of, is kind of the basic guy. So you get a unit of 5 Liberators. Basically, you have the option to do double weapons or 1 weapon, 1 shield. The Sigmarite shield is pretty good, lets you reroll saving rolls of 1, given that they have a 3-up armor save. That's really pretty good. The double weapons let you re-roll, I believe it's hit rolls of 1. So just kind of figuring out what is more important to you. They have a really cool rule called Lalo the Tyrant, which is basically it's a bonus against models that have 5 or more wounds. So basically they're trying to lay down or destroy larger monsters than them. This makes them a really interesting infantry choice just because they can hit above their weight class against something that is above their weight class. Now, of course, it'd be nice, obviously be nice if they had something that would kind of make them more hitty against like wide swaths of infantry, like taking out numbers rather than quality. But it does give them a bit of versatility that I don't think should be overlooked. And if you have played with the 2-player starter set, one thing you'll know about Stormcast Eternals that we're going to talk about is each unit is very self-sufficient. they don't require a lot of keyword synergies. It's definitely more of the Core and Bloodbound in the set that do that. These guys, you know, you have the Vandus Hammerhand Lord, whatever, on the Dracoth, who he has stuff for keyword Stormcast Eternals, but honestly, a lot of these units, they're very self-contained. They don't need a lot of buffing, and that's the same thing with the Liberators, where, you know, a lot of other armies have like, this gets a bonus if it's within 8 inches of a hero, and these guys don't have anything. There's nothing dependent on anyone else. Everything is very self-contained within their War Scroll. Moving on to the hero option that you have, this is the Lord Celestin. He's pretty cool for a foot soldier, foot leader, I should say, which are not typically the best just because of survivability, but this one actually is very, very interesting. His command ability gives a +1 to hit on nearby Stormcast Eternals. What's nice is that it's not a particular unit, from what I understand. It's just like an aura type thing. So you could theoretically have more than one unit being affected by that bonus, which is really, really cool. It adds a lot to his value. Keep in mind, he gives a +1 to hit. So if hypothetically you went with the double hand weapons, you get a +1 to hit and rerolling ones, which means you're almost guaranteed to hit everything. Now, whether or not you do damage, I don't know, it's up to you. It's pretty good odds that you will with the Liberators. But just, I'm keeping in mind some synergies that are in the box. One thing that Stormcast Eternals don't have a lot of is shooting attacks. But what's funny is that the Lord Celestin actually has a shooting attack that's not a shooting attack. Basically, like, spins around and little hammers on his cloak kind of like fire out like little missiles, shooting out multiple wounds and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. It is not a literal shooting attack. It happens as if it were one. So keep that in mind. You do have some really cool options with him. He does bring unique things to the table in regards to, much like the Relictor brings something unique to the army to the table from the 2-player starter set, this guy is a pretty cool leader. Next, I want to touch on the Retributors. Now, like I said, this isn't a complete unit, but I still want to cover them because if you did buy the 2-player starter set, you now have a full unit, and there are some really, really cool things about them. For instance, they are the only unit in the box that baseline kind of infantry unit that comes with 3 wounds. This makes them actually more durable than you would think on paper. They are nasty in the sense that if you roll a 6 to hit, it does 2 mortal wounds. This means if you really pump up their attacks, remember, Lord Celestin gives you +1 to hit. So that means that a 5 up on a hit on a die will cause some real damage for people. You can mess some things up. And if you have a unit of 5, 2 of those 5 can take what's called a Star Soul Mace, which does D3 mortal wounds every single turn. Now, if you do have the 2-player starter set, and this one, I don't believe that either one of those comes with the Star Soul Mace in particular. That might be inaccurate. Perhaps the 2-player starter set does. But if you buy a box on your own, you will get a Star Soul Mace, and they are really, really great. They used to be the default unit of planting them straight into your enemy's front, charging in, and just causing a swath of damage. Now, while Stormcast Eternals as a battle tome has evolved kind of past that, there's more options available now. It's still a very solid plan, and having a unit that can deliver that much damage is always going to be an asset. Now the debate comes about the Prosecutors. Okay, do you build them with the Javelins or do you build them with the double weapons? There's kind of a toss-up. Okay, Javelin guys are cheaper. They are 80 points versus 100 right now under the General Handbook 1, I believe. And basically the thing with the Javelin guys is that they are a scouting ranged unit, okay? If they shoot a dude more than 9 inches away, they get bonuses to damage and things like that. Basically what they want to do is fly around the edges and just lightning bolt the snot out of stuff. They don't have very good at all stats in combat. If they get into combat, you're probably going to want to retreat, kind of move backwards and then keep firing. Both variants get the 3d6 to charge, and you can charge at 18 inches rather than 12, which is really, really cool. If you're looking for a more versatile unit that is kind of like the Jack of all trades, master of none, double hammers is the way to go. I'm just going to throw it out there. There is an option to have a shield and a hammer, but at the end of the day, you want them to be effective, not just stay alive. You have plenty of things that are good at staying alive, like Liberators to hold the line. Prosecutors, if you want them to go in there and do some damage and fall back out of range from your opponent, you want them to do a little bit more. So I would suggest, just my suggestion, that you stick with double hammers or Or the javelins, just to stay along the edges, hurt the enemy, draw their attention away, kind of lure them as much as possible off objectives, clear some things out in the backfield, just be a nuisance. I think they can be a bigger problem for your opponent with the reroll ones to hit, with the shooting attack from the double hammers, even though it's not terribly effective. That combined with the melee damage that they can do, it ends up being pretty good. Also keep in mind that if you go with the double weapons, or the more melee-centric ones, 1 and 3 of those guys can take a great weapon, which is basically the same basic stat line as the double hammers. However, you get there's a rend and more damage. It's basically just a bigger version of the same thing. So if you are trying to harass the backfield, go in there and cause a little bit of damage, having that bigger weapon to do that, along with the shooting and along with the ability to fly out of range, is definitely going to be more effective for that specific role. If you want something that's visually different, having the javelins is really, really cool. They can do cool things, both of them. They're just very different roles that you want for your army. One of them, they both want to harass the sides like a scouting unit, but one of them wants to get in there, do damage, and back out, hammer guys, and one of them wants to continuously threaten your opponent's backline with ranged attacks, which is the javelins. Now, even though I'm not super hyped on this box because I don't like the incomplete unit, I will say that if you bought this, you did make a good choice. It's a great army. Their newest battle tome is awesome. Like, there's so many cool things about it. Not even rules-wise, just narratively and art-wise, and there's all kinds of things to get you super pumped about this really cool army. This box in particular is one of the ones that I wouldn't really suggest buying 2 of. Once you have one, you build those, get excited about it. I'd really suggest, if you don't already, split a 2-player starter box with someone, so you'll complete the unit of Retributors, which I think should be your first priority. And then from there, build outward with whatever you think looks cool. That's kind of the awesome thing about the Stormcast Eternals right now, is they are one of the armies with the most options. They're up there with like Seraphon and Slaves to Darkness in terms of like just the sheer amount of war scrolls available to them without deviating from like a sub-faction whatsoever. And now more than ever, with the update of their battle tome, you can just pick a unit that you think looks cool and just do it, right? Like, there's just no reason not to. Everything is effective in its own way. Now, certain things play differently, like prosecutors with the different weapons, but they're both effective. They're both really good at what they do. If you're a new player and you're not sure where to go next, what I'd really suggest, like I said, get a 2-player starter set. If you've already done that, grab the battle tome, read through some of the lore about the different chambers, which is kind of like the Space Marine chapters equivalent, right? It's just like the way they organize themselves. They all have different abilities and bonuses, stuff like that. Pick one that sounds really cool to you. You can pick it based on a color scheme, fluff, what the rules are, whatever sounds cool, and start building things around that. You're not going to be disappointed. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope this has been a benefit to you. If you would, click subscribe down below to get some more awesome content. We're going to be finishing up the Age of Sigmar Star Collecting boxes as I transition into the Warhammer 40k 8th Edition Star Collecting boxes, reviewing their rules for those players. We do have the narrative battle reports that are coming. They take a lot of work to do, so they're coming, but they're going to not be that fast. So I hope everyone enjoys those. Thank you so much for watching, and happy wargaming.